Hello, welcome to day 22 of our 30-day Worthiness Attunement journey. I'm Grace Willow, and I'm so grateful to be here with you. Welcome. If you're new to my channel, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. And before I start, I just want to give an apology that this video is late being recorded and uploaded to YouTube today. I've been waiting to see what wanted to come through, and I always trust that whatever needs to come through is going to come through, but today has been an exercise in patience, in trust. And so I was going to say more about that, and it doesn't feel like it's important or necessary. So today we're going to be talking about restoring sacred boundaries and why are boundaries important. When you carry the imprint of unworthiness or not good enough, it often manifests as flimsy or rigid boundaries, especially if we grew up in households where boundaries were not honored. Maybe they weren't even emulated. Maybe there was no role model for boundaries, what healthy boundaries looked like. Maybe your boundaries were bulldozed. Maybe it was unsafe. And so you created a healthy coping mechanism as a child by developing really strong armoring boundaries. That's, really great for a child to do when they're in an unsafe or inconsistent environment. And as we grow up, it's no longer useful or helpful to have those coping mechanisms in place. In fact, having flexible boundaries allows you to show up authentically, to be in a place of discernment about where you want to authentically give your time, energy, and resources without feeling resentful or depleted. And also to be able to hold boundaries so that when you're in situations that are maybe not healthy, you're able to articulate your wants, needs, and desires in an embodied, powerful way. So if you have vetiver, we're going to be using vetiver today. Vetiver is a profoundly powerful, relatively inexpensive essential oil. It has roots that grow 14 feet deep into the earth. So it's partly a grounding essential oil to support you in grounding. And energetically, the oil is also used to keep pests and weeds away. So if you think about your own boundaries, who in your life do you want to keep external to you? And who do you want to bring in close for nourishment and support? What situations drain you? So maybe a good opportunity here would be to get really clear after we do this grounding exercise with vetiver, restoring sacred boundaries, to maybe get really clear through a journaling practice about where your boundaries are. Are they rigid? Are they flexible? Are they flimsy? Are they non-existent? And then use this, once you have a little bit more clarity, use the vetiver in conjunction with the insights and awarenesses that you have. Today, it's, I'm not working with you individually. This is just a kind of a general offering. So it's not customized for, each one of you. And I do apologize. I wish I could work with each one of you individually to support you with boundaries, looking at where are your boundaries? Are they too close in? Are they too far out? Are they non-existent? Are they rigid? But I simply don't have the capacity to do that through YouTube. So maybe it would be useful for you to get really clear on your boundaries and then invite this practice in, but you can still do this practice with me today. It will still help you to restore boundaries. So we're going to be placing vetiver today on the belly button, the umbilicus, and partly to restore the connection with the umbilicus. There's 7,000 nerve endings there. And this is the first source of nourishment from our mothers in the womb through the umbilical cord. And so this is our first experience of boundary. We don't have a boundary between us and mother. We're simply in a field of isness, of mom and me are one and the same to an infant and to an embryo's brain, developing brain, and also to an infant's brain as soon as they're born. And when the umbilical cord gets severed, it's our first experience of a boundary. But infants' minds or their brains don't yet have the developmental capacity to understand until they're about 3 or 4 years old. And, maybe between 2 and 3 years old, the separation between you are separate from me. And when we grow up in families where boundaries are not modeled in a healthy way, we emulate through our mirror neurons and through our reticular activating systems what we've been conditioned into. So taking a drop of Vetiver. One drop, doesn't take much. Placing it over your belly button, just a light touch, nothing, no pressure. Closing your eyes, settling in, getting really present with yourself. And there's no effort with this. We're simply holding an intention to invite Vetiver to support us in restoring healthy boundaries, sacred boundaries. Releasing enmeshments, supporting us in becoming fully present in our bodies. Reminding your physiology and your nervous system and your emotional body that boundaries are safe, they're healthy. If you didn't have veins and arteries and arterioles, your blood wouldn't have a vehicle, a contained vehicle, and would just kind of go sloshing around in your whole body, and it wouldn't be effective. Your heart would be pumping away and blood would just be sloshing around. So the boundary, the container for your blood, is your circulatory system. The boundary for your heart and lungs, well, there's the organs themselves, and then there's a pericardium, and you have ribs, and then you have skin. Those are all protective. We also have energetic boundaries. In addition to physical boundaries, I'm sure you've heard of personal space, where in countries like India and China, personal space is very close because there are often so many people that you grow up accustomed to having people close in proximity. Here in the United States, our personal space is pretty large because we're used to having so much space. And, the phrase "in my space" refers to the fact that someone's coming a little too close. So that's physical boundary. And there's an energetic boundary. We each have an energetic boundary where, certain people, maybe our spouse, maybe our children, spouses are usually much closer in, and then children are a little bit further out. We don't have the same level of intimacy with our children. And then we have colleagues out here and parents somewhere in between spouse, children, and colleagues. And then you have the world out there. So Vetiver, just simply by bringing your awareness and attention to your breath, inviting Vetiver to restore your sense of healthy boundaries within your own body, within your energy field. If it's helpful, you can visualize your boundary around you as a bubble of light, creating a beautiful container that's flexible and permeable, semi-permeable, almost like a cocoon. And if you put your arm out, that cocoon extends. And then if you bring your arm in, that cocoon comes back in. It moves with you and it adjusts organically depending on who you are around. If you're with someone really close and you want, close energy exchange, that bubble is going to come in much closer. And that person, there may even be a merging, a temporary merging. And then that person will go out and your bubble will come back out. Vetiver is a beautiful ally for this. Grounding you into your body, into it's safe to have boundaries. Into your own truth, into your own wants, needs, and desires. And maybe there's an examination that needs to take place. Where do your boundaries need to be bolstered, and with whom? Where are your boundaries a little too rigid? Perhaps inviting Jasmine Sambach on Pericardium 7 to restore trust that it's safe to allow others in. Or maybe Rose Absolute to support you to open your heart and hydrate to receive love and support from others. But first and foremost, installing healthy boundaries, assessing your boundaries. We each go through developmental stages in life, and it's important that we update our boundaries accordingly. The boundaries that were in place when we were children and then in our teenage years and even in our 20s are not the same boundaries that are necessary for who you are today. When you've finished, it feels like you've come to completion with your finger and your belly button, just bringing your hands up and inhaling vetiver, allowing it to fully ground your energy, grounding you into yourself, into I deserve to have boundaries. I choose to have boundaries. I love myself so much and I am so worthy of having sacred boundaries. All right, that's it for today. Thank you so much for being here. If you are enjoying this content, please like, subscribe, and share so that this material, this journey can be more searchable. That's not how I want to say it. It makes it easier for other people to find it. I also have before we end, I have some really exciting news to share. I just launched grand opening, my brand new course platform called A Space for Grace. It's a course platform, it's an online school, and it's also a community space. And to celebrate the grand opening, I am also launching a brand new course, 6-week course. Registration opens tomorrow. Ooh, I'm just so excited. It's called Queen of Worthiness. Queen of Worthiness. So registration opens tomorrow. I will put the link for the course below. Check it out. And I will see you tomorrow. Thank you so much for being here. Sending you so much love.